当所走透不洒扫，要惆怅，别寂寞过的浓。泪的角落愁苦，第二有金针古木，勾我暴走，路心很我孤，寂寞高扬的故乡，与我胜利家。
Light a Diep. Hello everyone, wishing you all good health and peace in life. Some love stories are written in silence, not with grand speeches, but with music that only the heart can hear. Light a Diep never expected it. The moment the secret song played, a melody James had written just for her, she stood frozen, tears welling in her eyes, because every note whispered the words he never said aloud. But love isn't only sweet, sometimes it aches. When Diep fell, broken by pain life had cruelly dealt, James didn't cry out. He simply stood up, strong, steady, and silent, a shield between her and the world. He didn't need the world to see what he did. He only needed her to feel it. Because true love isn't loud, it's loyal, it stays, and it protects, even when no one is watching. The sun was setting low over the rice fields, casting long golden rays through the bamboo groves behind the small wooden house. Light a Diep stood by the open window, her fingers still dusty from the day's harvest. Her heart beat with a strange rhythm, half anticipation, half sorrow. James had promised to come today, but she hadn't seen him since the argument. She didn't expect what would happen next. She turned her head when she heard soft footsteps outside. There he was, CEO James, dressed simply, holding something behind his back. He looked tired. His eyes no longer held the sharp, calculating glint of a businessman, but the quiet pain of a man who had lost something important. Without a word, he stepped into the room, placed an old guitar on her table, and sat down on the floor. To Diep, he said gently, "Before I say anything, just listen." She didn't move. Her breath caught in her throat as James began to strum. The first notes were soft, almost trembling. Then came the melody, strange and familiar, like the breeze that passed through the village every spring. But when the lyrics began, her eyes widened. From the field where your laughter blooms, to the place where I first touched your hand, I hid my love in silent tunes, hoping one day you'd understand. Her hands trembled. You are not just a girl who sells fruit in the sun. You are the calm after my storm is done. You are not just a name I whispered once. You are my home. You are the only one. To Diep's legs gave way as tears welled up. She collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed. The weight of the weeks, of the fear, the love, the confusion, everything crashed inside her. "I didn't know," she whispered. "You wrote this for me?" James stood up quietly, no grand speeches, no dramatic gestures. He simply walked over, knelt beside her, and placed a hand over hers. "I've always protected you, even when you didn't see it," he said, "even when John tried to pull you into his trap, even when I let you think I was far away, but I was here, always." Diep looked into his eyes so calm, but with the ache of a man who had fought too many silent battles. She remembered the night James was nearly arrested because of the corrupted project John had planted. She remembered him refusing to sell out John in exchange for his own freedom, just to protect the innocent workers. She remembered him in the hospital bed, pretending to be weak, just to lure the enemy into revealing the truth. And now he was here, singing her a song, offering her his heart. "I didn't need a song," she whispered, "but I needed to know I was never alone." James smiled, not the public CEO smile the world knew, but the smile only she had seen. One cold morning, when he helped her carry water across the muddy fields. Diep leaned against him, her hands still shaking. The night deepened around them, but a light had returned in her heart. Whatever storms were coming, she wasn't afraid anymore, because now she knew James would always be the quiet strength behind her, and she would always be his song. The days that followed were quiet, but never empty. James visited the small house more often, helping Diep with her garden, sharing warm meals, and sometimes just sitting in silence, watching the wind blow through the sugarcane. Yet behind his soft smile, something still lingered in his eyes. Worry. Diep noticed it most when he answered his phone. He would step outside, his voice low and firm. He always said, "Just company matters," but she knew there was more. One evening, while cleaning the old bookshelf in her room, she found a small black notebook tucked between the faded agricultural magazines. It wasn't hers. Curious, she opened it. Inside were names, dates, and handwritten notes, maps, dossiers, and in the center page a list of code names, one circled in red, Operation Shadow Vine. Her heart pounded. This wasn't business. It was dangerous. At that moment, James appeared in the doorway. "You found it," he said quietly. Diep turned, startled. "What is all this, James?" He didn't avoid her gaze. "This is what I've been hiding from you. Not because I didn't trust you, but because I didn't want you involved." "Involved in what?" He walked in, took the notebook, and sat down. "John wasn't just trying to ruin my company. He's part of a larger ring of illegal land deals, laundering through agricultural investments, even trafficking." His voice tightened. "I've been collecting evidence for months, working with Lee, posing as a silent investor." Diep froze. That night, when someone jumped off the cliff during the chase, they didn't die. They escaped, and I think they know I'm watching them. Her hands trembled. "James, why didn't you tell me sooner? I wanted to protect you. I still do. But how can I protect you if I don't know the truth?" she whispered. James looked at her, and something shifted. The careful wall he had built around himself cracked just a little. "Because you already gave me something more powerful than protection, hope," he said. "And I'm afraid if I lose you, I'll lose that, too." There was silence, just the rustle of leaves outside. Diep stepped forward and took his hand. "Then let me stay. Let me stand beside you." The next day, James brought her to the hidden part of his estate, a small, solar-powered safe house near the base of the valley. Inside were laptops, encrypted files, voice recordings, and surveillance footage. "This is where we'll finish it," he said, as they worked together. Diep was amazed by the depth of the operation. She translated rural contracts, helped cross-check shipments, and even identified one of the shell companies using her knowledge from the market. But time was running out. One night, while James was out meeting with an informant, Diep received a phone call. A distorted voice warned her, "You're too close, girl. Leave James, or he'll fall, and you with him." She dropped the phone, her hands cold. She waited until James returned. Her eyes filled with fear, but her voice steady. "I'm not leaving." James clenched his jaw. "They know about you. That's my fault." "No, it means we're close, and I won't walk away when we're this close." He looked at her like she was the most terrifying and beautiful force he'd ever met. A week later, they got what they needed. John himself walked into the staged investment meeting set up by James, monitored by hidden cameras and mix. Diep, posing as a naive vendor, delivered a briefcase that contained a recording device. She heard every word of John's confession as he bragged to a fake investor about how easy it was to pull money from fools. By morning, the police had everything. Lee arrested John. News broke out. the entire ring began to unravel. A month passed. James was cleared. His company was rebuilding. But more importantly, he was at peace. Diep stood in the garden, barefoot, watching the horizon. She felt a warmth behind her, a quiet presence. James wrapped his arms around her. "Hockey came back," she whispered. He smiled. "I saw he was scratching at the gate this morning. Guess he missed you." She leaned back into him. Maybe he just knew we were finally safe. The wind rustled through the leaves. Somewhere in the distance, a bird sang. And just beneath that sound, James began to hum that song again, the one she would never forget. A life lesson from Diep and James: love, courage, and silent strength in life. We often find ourselves caught between fear and faith, between running away and choosing to stay. From the emotional journey of Diep and CEO James, I learned one powerful lesson. True love is not just about being together during easy times. It's about standing beside each other when everything else falls apart. At first glance, Diep appeared to be a simple girl living in the countryside, selling fruit and living humbly. But beneath her quiet strength was a heart full of love, loyalty, and resilience. When she found out that James had written a secret song for her, she was stunned, not because of the melody, but because she finally understood the depth of his feelings, the quiet ways he had always tried to protect her. It was in that moment that I realized sometimes the greatest acts of love are the ones we don't see right away. James, a powerful CEO, chose to put himself in danger to protect not just his company, but the people he cared about. He went undercover, risked his reputation, and worked silently to expose the truth about John and the criminal network behind him. But more importantly, he protected Diep by keeping her away from the storm until she chose to step into it herself. That is another lesson I took to heart. Real courage isn't about never being afraid. It's about being afraid and still choosing to stand up. Diep could have run away when she learned the truth. Instead, she chose to stay, to help, to fight. She showed that no matter how small or unimportant someone may seem, love and bravery can make them powerful. This story reminded me that relationships are not only built on romance, but on trust, honesty, and shared purpose. James and Diep could only win when they stopped hiding things from each other. Their bond became their strength. In the end, even Hockey, the loyal dog, returned just as things began to heal. It was symbolic. Sometimes, when we hold on to hope and stay true to what we love, the things we fear we've lost find their way back to us. From this story, I've learned that love needs truth, courage needs vulnerability, and the strongest protection we can offer someone is not a shield but our presence.